In 2017, Sonic wasn't in a good place. We were just coming off of Sonic Lost World. The Boom Initiative was in full swing. Sonic's perception in the eyes of many was that of a once prominent franchise that had fallen from grace some time ago. This was during the era where everyone made fun of Sonic, including the series itself. We were in dire need of something really good to bring the franchise back, and Sonic Forces seemed like it could be that. I remember seeing the reveal trailer for the game. Now, bear in mind, I was not nearly the Sonic fan I am today. I had a passing interest of Sonic. I was a normie. I knew who he was. I knew the basics of Knuckles, Tails, Amy, but I knew nothing of the storylines, nothing of the lore. I had seen footage of a couple of Sonic games, but I had no real investment into the series yet. I knew from some YouTubers who I watched at the time that the past few games hadn't been good, which was the general consensus, it seems, of the fandom at the time, which was that the past couple games we've had were not good. So I saw the trailer for Sonic Forces, and I went, oh, that looks cool. That looks good. It looks like they're going to do a dark, gritty, serious game with Sonic going up all his foes from the past, and it all revolves around this one brand new character. Infinite. And that's all I knew about the game until it came out. I saw that trailer and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Hopefully the Sonic fans like it. And then the game came out. And when it did come out, I pretty much heard from everyone that the game was the next in a long line of misses for the franchise. And I was like, well, that sucks for them. The perception of Forces hasn't been a kind one. It's often criticized as one of the worst games in the series, and after watching many playthroughs of it, I could see why. It didn't seem all that impressive, and it was super short. I once saw a playthrough of someone play it in like 3-4 hours. But now, after all this time of listening to the fandom moan about this game and seeing the perception the game has, it's my time to finally play the game for myself and come to my own conclusion. Is Sonic Forces as bad as they say, or is it actually an underrated gem? Now, the plot for the game. Sonic arrives to stop Eggman's latest attack, but is shocked to see that the Doctor isn't alone. He is joined by Shadow, Zavok, Metal, and Chaos, and a brand new foe named Infinite. They beat the crap out of Sonic, and then they capture him. Most assume Sonic is dead for some reason. I guess they just assume Eggman wouldn't have kept him alive. A resistance is formed, led by Knuckles, and consists of Amy, Silver, Rouge, the Chaotix, and a new member, us, or rather our avatar. Yes, the big gimmick for this game is that you create your own OC, who everyone just refers to as Rookie or Buddy. I'm going to go into this a lot more later on, but I really feel like this aspect of creating your own character that fits into the Sonic world really should have been done in a separate game on its own, and was one of the things that really just hampered this game down. Handed a Wispin, which is also introduced into the series, which is a weapon that uses the Wisp's powers, you join the Resistance in the fight against Eggman. I guess you're sort of a freedom fighter in a way, huh? Around this time, Knuckles finds out that Sonic is alive! Imagine, this is my shock face. Whoa! You break into the Death Egg where he's being held and supposedly tortured? Okay. I mean, really? Another Death Egg? Like, how many times is this thing gonna come back? Like, they're really struggling for ideas here. Sonic, who looks very much fine and not tortured in the slightest, escapes and beats Zavok. He meets up with your OC and you both escape the Death Egg. Meanwhile, in the city, Tails is trying to fix a badly damaged E123 Omega, and just as he's about to give up, he's met by Chaos, and Tails quivers in fear and begs for Sonic to save him. Huh. This is another major criticism of the game, which is its portrayal of Tails and the character assassination that he goes through. Again, I will touch upon this later when we actually delve more into this. Tails is saved by classic Sonic, who emerges from a wormhole, and this leads to one of the most damaging lines in the entire series history, where Tails says,
"Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?"
God damn this game for starting this debate! Another dimension. Are we just gonna forget that Sonic Generations pretty much confirmed that this was Sonic from the past? You do not know the damage that this did to the series. The debates that went on about whether the classic series was actually the past or in a separate timeline went on forever. Thankfully, it has been confirmed that yes, it is the past, and we are on an ever-sliding timescale. After getting reacquainted with his friends, Sonic is sent to go with the OC to destroy a weapons factory supplying Eggman's war effort. Silver has a fight against Infinite. Now, this has to be cool. Silver, who has telekinetic powers, versus Infinite, who has the ability to alter reality. This fight is going to be so sweet. In any other game but this one. Sonic arrives and encounters Infinite for the first time since his defeat. Now, I actually really like Sonic's lines here in this scene. His quips are actually funny, and he seems more like the snarky Sonic that we know. Infinite, however, just comes off as that kid in school who watched a really dark show on Netflix and is now trying to behave, that it's changed him. He now sees the world differently. His dialogue is written out of Wattpad, essentially. After a brief battle, Infinite flees. Classic Sonic and Tails are spying on Eggman, and they overhear him and Infinite discussing about destroying Phantom Ruby prototypes, and that Sonic is alive. Classic Sonic reveals himself and fights the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed. After his defeat, Eggman says that this doesn't actually matter because everyone's going to be wiped out in 3 days. The OC meets up with Tails and Classic Sonic, as well as find one of the Phantom Ruby prototypes. Guess they forgot to destroy that one. Tails and Classic Sonic meet the Resistance, and cue the line where Sonic says,
It's been generations since I've seen you.
"Fuck you." Sonic heads to Sunset Heights to confront Shadow, but it's revealed that the Shadow working with Eggman is a fake. All the villains are. They're just illusions created by the Phantom Ruby. The Resistance launches an attack on Metropolis, where the OC encounters Infinite again. They battle, and the OC uses the prototype Phantom Ruby to fight back against Infinite. Tails and Classic Sonic find out that the Phantom Ruby is being powered by the Death Egg, so the plan is made to blow it up. Sonic and the OC face a copy of Metal. Why the actual Metal isn't here, I have no idea. The OC creates a distraction while Sonic disables the Death Egg's weapons, and the Death Egg is destroyed, with Eggman fleeing to Metropolis. When Sonic and Tails find Eggman, he has Infinite banish Sonic into null space, with the OC getting pulled along with him while he tried to save him. Eggman then reveals to Tails that he knew the Resistance would target the Death Egg, so he built a backup supply for the Phantom Ruby underneath Metropolis. Meanwhile, Sonic and the Rookie escape null space as being trapped inside there for 2 seconds, and the Resistance confronts Infinite and his army of Phantom copies at Eggman's Empire Fortress to destroy the backup power supply for the Phantom Ruby. Infinite creates a massive virtual sun over the planet to destroy the entire Resistance, which has been Eggman's plan this whole time. Tails notices that the OC has a Phantom Ruby prototype, and they can use that to neutralize the sun. Since the prototype's design only lets the OC use it, the OC climbs up to the Imperial Tower and gets rid of the virtual stun, destroying the Phantom Ruby in the process. Sonic confronts Infinite while he is weak from having formed the sun, only for Infinite to regain his power during the fight. The OC joins Sonic, and together they defeat Infinite, and he flees. Yep, that's what happens to Infinite. He just glitches and flies away and is never seen from again. Okay. Sonic and the OC destroy the Phantom Ruby's power supply and seem to win the war. However, Eggman reveals that the power source was a decoy. Swerve, bro! The original Phantom Ruby has been incorporated into his trump card, the Death Egg Robot, which looks nothing like the Death Egg Robot from Sonic 2. Did they just get lazy with coming up with a name and they just went, nah, let's use that one? Both Sonics and the OC take down the not Death Egg Robot, and all the illusions fade away. The day is saved, and both Sonic and the OC run off, and that's it. That's the plot for Sonic Forces. This story is so poorly written. This had the potential to be a really great story paying homage to the earlier parts of Sonic's Western lore, with stuff like SatAM and Archie, with him being a resistance fighter fighting against Eggman's tyrannical reign. But instead, we get this non-threatening quote-unquote war where no characters get any development, no stakes are lost, there's barely any dialogue for some of them. They just stand there to be like, hey, you remember them? Like, I'm telling you the chaotics are in the game. I have to tell you this because they don't do anything. Sonic being badly beaten by Eggman has been done before and much better. And it's a really interesting topic to cover, but they do nothing with it in this game. He just gets beat and apparently held captive for 6 months. They do nothing with this concept. In fact, that concept is over within the first 6 levels. Going over more of the bad plot in this game, let's start with Tails and his characterization. Tails in this game is completely done a disservice. The past few games up to this point hadn't done a great job with Tails anyway, but they didn't make him a coward. He's quivering in fear over chaos. This is not the same guy who stopped Eggman destroying Station Square. Who is this man? Tails is a cowering, loser. This is not Tails. This is not Tails at all. And I could absolutely see why people hated what was done to him in this. He just, look at him. He's curled up like a freaking loser. What are you doing? This is not Tails. Tails isn't the most brave individual, but he at least stands up for what he believes is right. His whole character arc right now is he wants to get out of Sonic's shadow and not be seen as Sonic's little sidekick. But that's what he is in this game. He spends all his time with classic Sonic just being a lost little puppy. Moving on to the aspect of the OC, which I touched upon previously, I like the idea of creating your own Sonic character like an RPG, and they get put into the Sonic world and interact with the characters. I feel like that is a great idea, but I feel like that this is something that could have been done better in a game dedicated to that on its own. I felt that this aspect being in the game just hindered the game even more, because now it has to deal with the fact that we're doing Eggman takes over the world, introducing Infinite. Here's the concept of the Phantom Ruby. We have all these villains returning to help Eggman and form this big villain army. Plus, here's an OC created character. This game does too much, so taking this away probably would have lightened the load a bit. I, again, really like this concept, but I think it should have been a separate game on its own. Something maybe a non-canon game to the timeline, where it's just like an RPG. You take your character and you just interact with the Sonic characters, forming bonds with them and all that type of stuff, and we would have all been having fun. Classic Sonic's inclusion is absolutely pointless and is just there to sell copies. Sega probably wasn't super confident with this game after the last few misses and figured, well, was the last great game we had? Sonic Generations. Oh, that had 2 Sonics, so let's do that again. So he's here and he does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. His inclusion makes 0 sense. Most people forget he's even in this game. The game, at times, forgets he's in this game, because it's like you do like a bunch of levels with Sonic and the Avatar, and then they're like, oh yeah, Classic Sonic's here. They just throw you in a level. He's not here for anything meaningful. He's just here to sell you on nostalgia. Levels are criticized for being far too short in this game, and I can understand that criticism. The levels in this game are very short. You can breeze through them very easily. Even the hard ones don't take that long. You could probably finish the hard ones in like 3 minutes maybe, and that's about the length of a normal Sonic level. So for most of these levels to be finished in like a minute, not even, is really not a good sign. Now, we'll get into the level design of this much later, and that's where I'll talk a bit more about them. But I can understand the criticism people have that the levels in this game are far too short. Some of these levels, I do agree, could have been much longer and are literally just like something that would be a segment in a level, is the whole level, and you're done in 30 seconds. You don't get to fight Chaos, which is a very weird thing. You get to fight Zavok, you fight Metal, you fight Infinite 3 times. You don't get to fight Shadow because he quickly joins your side. You get to fight Eggman, of course. We don't get to fight Chaos, at all. And again, another thing that this game is so poorly written, they, forgot that Chaos was one of the illusions created by Infinite, that I don't get to fight him. What are we doing? Another thing is, why was Metal an illusion? He's Metal Sonic. He's Eggman's devoted servant. He wouldn't need to create an illusion of him. He just would have done it anyway. Now, they explain this more in the IDW comics, that Eggman was preparing Metal Sonic, and he didn't get to finish him in time before the destruction happened. Okay, that is something that is eventually touched upon, but it's very clearly it was touched upon because Ian Flynn, when he was writing the comics, realized, why didn't they use Metal? Let me make up a reason why they did not use Metal. And this next bit is not really a criticism, it's more or less just my fanboyism coming in. But you all see the allusions to the freedom fighters, of course, right? Come on, where were they? This would have been an absolute fantastic way to introduce the freedom fighters into the game canon. Now, I understand that at this point we were still very sore off of the whole Ken Penders lawsuit, and Sega was very wary about using any character associated with the Archie comics. I completely understand that. We were very sore at this point. But come on. You're in a scenario that is literally what the Sad AM and Archie comics were based upon, and they're not here. This is how you introduce them. Ian Flynn said that he wanted to introduce Sally Acorn, Bunny Rabbit, Nicole, all of them in the IDW Comics Post Forces, but was again told no. So the reason that they're not here is very much because Sega's still very sore and wary via the Ken Penders lawsuit, which I do understand, but I just feel like this was a missed opportunity. Now let's get into the levels. Lost Valley. It's the first stage, so there's not really much here, but this is what I want in a modern boost stage. You just blow through enemies and are going super fast. Getting an S rank on this, though, took forever, given how short the levels are. Which is a bad thing about the levels being short, is that the S ranks are super hard to get. Spaceport, the first Avatar stage. It introduces you to the Burst Wispin and the grapple system, and it's a lot of fun. Ghost Town, the first classic stage. This one is actually the nicest classic stage to play. I hate Classic Sonic in this game. His inclusion makes zero sense, and his stages suck to play, and his gameplay is awful. But this one's fine. I did not hate myself playing this one. Prison Hall. This one is a lot of fun. Not complex, very straightforward like most stages in the game, but I can have a lot of fun with this one. The first boss is Zavok. He's not hard by any means. You just have to avoid the bee badniks and his lasers, and then avoid his ground pound and homing attack. Rinse and repeat that about 4 times, and you win. It's a fine first boss fight, and you don't struggle with him at all, and seeing Sonic beat the crap out of him after is so funny. Egg Gate. There's actually different paths in this one. It's one of the few that actually feels like it could fit in a different Sonic game. The atmosphere of being in space with all the spaceships is really cool, and the QTs at the end are lots of fun. Arsenal Pyramid, the first tag team stage, and it's real fun. Well, at least the first part is. The first part, you just boost through enemies at Sonic. Doing the double boost is super fun. It's a really cool moment. But this level slows down immensely when you get inside the interior. The clock part is horrible. Luminous Forest, what I want in a boost stage. Just boosting through enemies at insanely fast speeds, a couple of QTEs here and there, and I am happy. Boss Infinite. A fine first encounter with him. You're running on a moving cylinder and have to avoid his illusions. Getting hit adds other obstacles in your way. It's fun and not super challenging. I got through this one without taking a single hit. Green Hill. My ears! What is playing in the background of this stage? Level design, it's fine. It's Green Hill. I don't want to sink to the depths of the earth while playing it, so, I take what I can get, but... Boss, Egg Dragoon. I actually really like this fight. It starts off with an homage to the first Eggman fight from Sonic 1, then transforms into the real fight, which is the Egg Dragoon. Eggman throws rocks at you that you have to hit certain ones back at him while avoiding the attacks. Simple, and I like it. Park Avenue. Not much to say about this one, other than it's fine. Not exciting, it's just decent. Casino Forest. Oh boy, this one was a real great concern. This is one of those levels that relies sorely on your luck. Sometimes you'll get a good run where you hit the panels in just the right way. Others, you're stuck in the same place for minutes just trying to go forward. I appreciate them trying to reference Casino Night Zone, but Casino Night didn't rely on the whole pinball thing like this one does. What is it with the Sonic Hit series and pinball? This stage and then that stupid one in Frontiers? Aquagate. You literally just ride on water the whole level, and that's it. It lasts 5 seconds. What is the point? I get it if this was part of a level, but no, it's the whole thing, and it's a waste of time. On top of that, it's like chance. If you slide off of the water, you're done. You cannot make good and save yourself. It's awful. Sunset Heights, one of the most memorable stages, but I have no idea why. It's so similar to Park Avenue that if you switch footage of them, I would not get confused. Only noticeable thing in the end of this one is that you confront Shadow at the end. Capital City. I'd like this level a lot more if it didn't have those stupid lasers. I like that Infinite is actively trying to stop you in this one. He does things like turn you upside down or destroy the stage. Boss, Infinite. This time you have to face him as the Avatar. It's a very similar premise to the first one. Just avoid his illusions and hit him when presented with the opportunity. I cheesed this one so bad because you just use the burst fire move on him and you do so much damage. Chemical Plant. Did someone say nostalgia? Because we've got a lot of it in this one. This is actually a really fun variation of Chemical Plant. It's also a plus you don't spend too much time underwater, which is the bane of my existence in all 2D games. Red Gate Bridge. This is a surprise, baby, because you actually just fight Metal Sonic. To beat him, you have to avoid his attacks, then boost up to him and homing attack him when you're presented with the opportunity. Rinse and repeat this 4 more times, and that's it. It's a nice boss fight, but this gets lessened later on when we get to another boss fight that literally just copies this one. But this is the first time this happened, so it gets a pass. Guardian Rock. This stage has level hazards that actually impede your progress. They're a bit annoying, but they're level hazards. That's kind of the point. There's also multiple routes in this one as well. It's like they actually tried to make a real level with this one. The ending bit sees you have to avoid being crushed by this crab Badnik while he's chasing you. Nice ending that keeps your adrenaline pumping. Network Terminal. Alright, I'm fairly convinced that I love the modern Sonic stages in this game. It's literally just boosting as fast as you can, and that's what I want in a game designed about going fast. This level actually begins once you get inside the chemical plant. And they do something I've never seen done before or thought of. They actually make the water part of the level. What I mean by that is you actually have to avoid the water because it comes from the chemical things from the sky and actually can kill you if you jump on them. You have to use it for certain platforms. It's not hard level, but it's not a cakewalk either. The Death Egg. This one is covered in conveyor belts that pose a bit of a problem, and there's also these platforms that constantly change. The worst part of the level is the upside down bit. It's not as fun as when you did it in Capital City. This was definitely the hardest classic stage at this point, but I still don't hate it. Still having fun, which is a good sign. Metropolitan Highway. It's the first modern stage I don't like, and it's all down to one thing. These moving platforms. You come across them that move the second you land on them. Now naturally, this leads to some traps with spikes. But the part that sucks about it is that if you mess up the jump, you're screwed. I think it would have been a lot better if after a certain amount of time the platforms went back to their original spot, because after that it just becomes impossible to move forward. Null Space. You're in Null Space for 2 seconds, then you're back in Metropolis. This is false advertising at its finest. That aside, I like it. It's a nice tag team stage. Imperial Tower, the only level in the game you actually have to hurry on. There's a giant beam chasing you, and if it hits you, instant death. It adds a sense of urgency, and thankfully there isn't unfair obstacles placed to try and impede your progress. Something like that is usually done in stages like this, but it's nice to see they didn't do that this time. Mortar Canyon. Boost! You're zooming through this one, boys. Boss. Infinite. For the final encounter with Infinite, the brand new antagonist designed specifically for this game. It's just a reskin of the Metal Sonic fight. The only difference is that Infinite's illusions come into play, so if you get hit, then, it adds extra obstacles, but other than that, it's exactly the same. Talk about anticlimactic. There is, however, a time limit. You can't just run endlessly. If you don't beat him before you run out of the road, he will kill you, but this fight is so simple that I doubt that has ever happened to anyone. Iron Fortress. This level sucks! Here it is. I was wondering when it would show up, but here it is. They wait until the last classic level to start this. They introduce a brand new gimmick, which is these wheels that you have to run around on and jump when you get the right amount of momentum. Fine. But sometimes you don't get the right jump enough and you just fall. It's annoying, but maybe I can look past that if that was it. But it's not. They have the entire second segment be an auto-scrolling level. Who thought this was a good idea? And why do you do something like this on the final classic level? You have made the entire classic levels be relatively simple enough, so what flipped that made you decide to do this one? The difficulty spike is insane. Final Judgment. Another level that's actually hard, but unlike the previous one, I don't want to throttle whoever designed it. You have to avoid rolling spikes on robots, then have to jump between rails as they get electrocuted, then back to avoiding robots and the spikes at the same time. After that, you have to destroy 3 cells, which gets harder after each cell you destroy. Again, I cheesed this one. You can use the burst weapon. It does an insane amount of damage. The final boss, the Death Egg Robot. It looks nothing like the Death Egg Robot. This is a 3-stage fight. The first stage is like the Dragoon fight where you, as Classic Sonic, hit the rocks back at the robot. You also have to avoid getting hit by his laser and the falling platform beneath you, which gets destroyed after each attack. The second stage is where you have to avoid missiles and badniks while attacking the robot's fist as the Avatar. Near the end, the platform starts to get destroyed, which makes things a bit more tricky. Once again, you can cheese this one with the Wispin. The final stage is pretty much a rehash of the final fight from Sonic Colors. You're endlessly running and have to avoid the robot's attacks while boosting towards it, then homing attacking it. You get a nice cool triple boost at the end, and that's about it. Overall, I understand the criticism against these levels, how some might not like the short length or the simplistic design, but I had a good time with most of them, and few of them are anything outstanding, but the ones that are, I can definitely see them being in a separate game. Except those last 2 levels, they can die in a fire. I don't ever want to see them again. There are secret levels in the game. Fire Canyon 1, which is located in Mystic Jungle and unlocked by beating Aqua Road. Vanish Panel 1, which is in the city, which is unlocked by beating Red Gate Bridge. Bomb Block 1, which is unlocked by beating Guardian Rock. Plasma Canyon 1, which is unlocked by beating Network Terminal. Laser Canyon 1, which is unlocked by beating Death Egg. And Reverse Block 1, which is unlocked by beating Null Space. There's also extra stages as well. These stages are unlocked by collecting red star rings. The more star rings you get, then you get another level. You have to collect all 120 star rings to get all the stages. They are Flying Pod, Boom Block 2, Laser Canyon 2, Reverse Block 2, Vanish Panel 2, Fire Canyon 2, and Plasma Canyon 2. Like most Sonic games, the soundtrack is great. All Avatar stages have vocal tracks, and they are awesome. Typical highlights are Fighting Onward, Justice, Virtual Enemies, and Set in Motion. The tracks that are not vocal tracks, which are mainly the ones used in the modern boost stages for Sonic, are also real good, but the particular highlights are Egg Gate, Luminous Forest, and Sunset Heights. The place where the soundtrack falls apart is the classic Sonic tracks. He's the worst aspect of this game in every way. Ghost Town and Chemical Flow actually sound like they could be from a Genesis game, and then there's my ears! I will die on this hill that Infinite's theme is really good. A lot of people say that it just contributes to him being an edgelord, but come on, man. I love this theme, and I will defend it to the end of time. The Resistance theme is actually really nice. It's an orchestrated piece that really gets the whole triumphant feel of it. I really enjoy it. And the main theme, Fist Bump, is not the best main theme in a Sonic game, but it's not bad either. It's still a really good one. For the most part, I really enjoyed how this game feels. Sonic and the Avatar feel really good when controlling them. Then, of course, there's Classic Sonic, who feels like he has weights and issues. He moves so slow. Comparing this to his movement in Generations is so frustrating. He had really great classic controls in Generations, and then they just butcher it in this one. What I need to note is Sonic. Sonic has the homing attack be on the same button as his jump, and I think that is great. It's very easy to do the homing attack when you just literally have to hit a double jump button. I will say though, I would prefer for his boost to be on the triggers. Instead on this one, it's on an actual button. I much prefer it when it's on the triggers. Classic Sonic, his spin dash is so much harder to do. Like, seriously. It was way easy to do in Generations, and this one, it's a freaking chore to actually get his spin dash. And then there's the instant spin dash, which you can get by jumping and then holding down the X button, and he'll do an instant spin dash when he lands. It's a nice idea, but it can lead to disaster if you do it by accident. There is DLC for this game. Episode Shadow. This DLC is a prequel to the main game. It takes place a month before the events of the main story and is mainly there just to tell you Infinite's origins and where Shadow has been when the Infinite attack happened. So Infinite's origin is pretty much this. He was the leader of a Jackal mercenary squad that Eggman hired to protect his base, and Shadow beat the crap out of them all. He might have killed them. I don't know. But Infinite was the only one left, and Shadow humiliated him. And Infinite, not wanting to be weak, signed up to be Eggman's test dummy for the Phantom Ruby. The levels, city, it's literally just Sunset Heights again. That's all it is. But there is actually a bit more to do in this one. This is the reason Sunset Heights is in Shadow Gens. Mystic Jungle. I hate the water levels. This stage was the one that made me truly realize how much I hate these levels. You literally just slide down a tube that you can so easily fall off of without being able to save yourself. The ending portion is where my particular disdain arrives. For some reason, Shadow just did not lock onto the objects. Like, what happened here? Green Hill. Hard. This is a hard level. You have to avoid Infinite's thingies throughout the whole level. It's not bad at all, but it's definitely not easy and does require you to take your time. It seems like for the Shadow DLC, they actually tried with these levels, since City is a much better version of Sunset Heights. Mystic Jungle is hell on earth with the freaking water tube, and Green Hill is actually somewhat difficult. So it seems like they took the criticism from the levels in the base game to heart when designing these ones. Super Sonic. Yes, Super Sonic was DLC in this game. You don't get him in the base game. You had to download him for DLC to then unlock the ability to use Super Sonic. He is used by both classic and modern Sonic, and it's the same way. You get 50 rings, boom, you get classic, you get Super Sonic. Why was he DLC? This should be something that is in the base game from the get-go. Now, thankfully, he was free, but still, the fact I had to download him at all is crazy. Okay, so after all this is said and done, what do I think of Sonic Forces? Is it the worst Sonic game of all time? No. Is it an underrated, underappreciated gem that doesn't deserve all the hate it gets? No. The ideas and concepts are there to make something truly special, but they just weren't fleshed out enough. This game is a skeleton and needed more meat on its bones. Short levels, an awful plot, and poorly executed ideas really hurt this game. It does have its bright spots. The OST and the gameplay are great, and I can easily see myself playing this in my off time if I really want my Sonic fix. But there are way better experiences with our favorite Blue Hedgehog, ones that take the things that this game has and does it so much better. Sonic Forces gets a 6 out of 10.